Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Think Global podcast. I'm your host, International Seth, and today's date is May 31st, 2021. Got to give a shout out to all the veterans in the U.S. celebrate Memorial Day. Shout out to all you guys and everybody in the U.S. in general who's enjoying their Memorial Day barbecues. I want you guys to be safe. Have you or your friends or family ever thought about living abroad? If so, go ahead and subscribe to this channel because we have a Living Abroad segment. And one of the episodes that we're doing today is with a family who has been living abroad for over a decade. So I'd like to welcome the Robinson family on to the Think Global podcast. Welcome, guys. Why don't you just go ahead and introduce yourselves?
Assalamu alaikum, I'm Khalida.
Assalamu alaikum, I'm Jarrell.
Assalamu alaikum, I'm Suleiman.
Assalamu alaikum, I'm Ibrahim. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Muhammad.
Wow. So welcome, you guys. Thank you for coming out on the Think Global podcast. And just, you guys are not currently overseas right now, but you guys are in the state of Maryland. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you for coming on the show again. And we do have a segment. This will be our first because normally our interviews are one-to-one. I think we had two on before, but never have we had 5 guests coming on the Think Global podcast. So welcome. And we still have to find a way to put all of you guys on the world call. That's when we give our test 10 seconds to name off some of the countries that you've been to. So right now, we're going to put the Robinson family on the world call. Ready, go.
Egypt, Saudi Arabia,
Jamaica, Bahrain,
Kuwait, Las Vegas, Qatar,
Canada, Qatar,
Turkey,
Belize,
Canada,
Saudi Arabia,
Turkey, Dubai,
Canada.
Syria, Iran, Lebanon, Jordan.
All right. Everybody got their own thing on. So yeah, congratulations on that. 10 seconds is up. Just for our audience, when you guys just start off about how long did you guys live overseas and what were some of the countries that you actually lived in, not just traveled to? What countries did you live in?
So we actually lived overseas 3 years in Syria. That was the first country that we started out in. Suleiman was offered a job over there. The second country we moved to was Kuwait, and we lived there for 2 years. And then the third country was Egypt, where he was born. And we were actually hired as a teaching couple, and we stayed there for 4 years. So a little under 10 years.
9 years altogether.
Yeah, and we lived in all those countries extensively.
Awesome. So why did you want to, what was your ambition to leave the U.S. and move overseas? What time period was this, and what was the rationale behind it?
So we left the States in 2005. We were living in California. I was teaching. We had 2 children at the time, Muhammad and Ibrahim. And we really wanted to, get out and live in a Muslim majority country, being Muslims. I'm a convert to Islam, so I wanted to see what it was like living in a Muslim majority country, but also the idea of the kids learning Arabic, the lifestyle, teachers in the States struggle, on a teacher's salary, and living in the California Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area was tough. And we knew that going overseas, teaching as a teaching couple and working over there, we could have a better quality of life, being together, being able to travel. We got to see, I think I've been to 20 countries, and in the family, we've probably been to 10 to 15 together. So just having that and a sense of adventure as well, I'm a history teacher, seeing historic sites, so combination of the things.
And we definitely wanted the boys to have a different upbringing because we did have Ibrahim, who was just turning 8 months old. Muhammad, matter of fact, just turned 4 because it was his birthday, and I remember having a birthday party there for him. So just to have them as African-American men living someplace else with a different life experience for them, and just having a different experience living abroad as men of color.
I think that's to add on that really quickly, that idea that knowing that there's more than just the United States, and most Americans think America is the world when there's this whole broader world out there that we can experience.
Absolutely. I would argue that maybe that is changing a little bit now with, more Americans are becoming more aware of the rest of the world, slowly but surely, especially African-American, maybe the advent of social media and these celebrities going to different places and stuff and kind of giving feedback. So slowly it's changing. Slowly people are becoming more consciously aware. But
Right.
obviously you guys did that. So congratulations to you. But in the beginning, like what was coming to your reservations, or what was you guys had to really outline to say, okay, we're going to go over, it's not just the two of us anymore. We have a family. So like, schools, just the overall security. You guys obviously living in the Middle East. So there is some security issues, healthcare, everything like that. So you want to just go through like your train of thought about the reservation that you had to overcome?
Yeah, definitely. I know my parents were a little worried when we first said we were going over there. The one thing that we moved to Syria originally is because we kind of had a base, because her parents, Khalda's parents, were already over there. So that gave us a little more, we had a connection of people, family we knew who could help us through the ins and outs. As a teacher, I was able to bring the kids and they were able to attend the school that I taught in. So that wasn't a major concern, because I knew that we would kind of have, be able to be connected. And I remember when the first year I taught there, the teacher was asking me, is there something wrong with your son that I need to know about? Because every break that you have in teaching, you're coming to check on him. But just that idea of going to a new country, right? And I was like, no, there's nothing wrong. I'm just concerned. I just want to make sure that he's doing well. So that was something we didn't have to worry about. I didn't have the healthcare, as a mother, Khalda more dealt with that, and she probably could talk more about that as the healthcare issues, because there were some struggles with that going through. We were in Kaiser, or had a healthcare plan, and you don't necessarily have that when you go to the Middle East or some other country. So she was able to navigate. Maybe you can talk about
I
that.
was actually happy that there were some expats already there. So once we got there, and we worked for a company that was already established, it was an agricultural company. So they were a company that brought us over. So we didn't pay for tickets, we didn't pay for our container, we didn't pay for anything. They provided everything. So it was already in place, it was already set. So I think that would be something that couples or parents would want to see, if the company that they're going to or being hired from will have that stuff already established and in place. That was a concern because Ibrahim was only 7 months old, right? So I was concerned about getting shots and all of his updated records and everything that a parent would want to make sure to have, and also trying to get to the doctors and the language barrier, because I was a little bit concerned that they wouldn't know and understand what I was talking about. But because they had already been established with this company, they had the best doctors. They had the doctors who probably were training over in America or the UK, right? All in Canada. So these were the doctors and nurses that were provided to us. So once I saw that, then my anxiety level went down some.
And then you had things like that were, even with medical, you have doctors there in Syria that would come and make house calls. And there was a time, where we went to Egypt and Khalida and Ibrahim caught pneumonia. And right, we didn't have to go to the emergency room. The doctor came to our house, right, and looked at, checked them out and everything. So there was some like benefits, things that you don't have in the States anymore that you
do they got an app for that, or
what's that?
An app?
They got an app for that? No, it was before apps. He just called and they showed up, and there was so no apps.
So I think that's what the difference is too, when you get hired or you just going over, because I think that was one of the things he wanted. He wanted to make sure we were hired from the States, because I know, people who have gone over just to travel and decided once they get there that they're going to work for somebody or work in a school or work for a company. And they may not have, unless they negotiated that, they may not have all the benefits that we had. Right. So going over, I think we did discuss that, because that was a big concern of mine, coming from your comfortable United States to over there, and you're going in not knowing what to expect.
Absolutely. It's something very, very interesting as well. So let's try to get from the kids' perspective. What was life going to school, living abroad, being exposed to new culture, new language and stuff? Why don't we start with the eldest one first? Can you want to describe a little bit about your education, your school there, and how did you kind of fit in, and what were some of the challenges?
The first challenges were the language. So at first I didn't really know much, but then as time went on, I started to learn Arabic and things, and got started to understand more and grasp more information. But I like to as I got older and school went on, I made more friends and started to connect more. So school was it was easier. It was easier. It became easier, but then like still Arabic was a challenge. Like later on, I had to repeat the grade because of not knowing the language.
Mhm.
But it wasn't once we were in more international schools where it was more English, it was easier for me.
Mhm.
And yeah, it wasn't as hard later on
Okay.
as I got older, but at first it was a little challenging.
Let me tell you why, Yusuf.
Okay, tell me.
When we moved to Syria, we would decided that we wanted him to learn Arabic. So we actually put him in a local school, but it was one of the top local schools, and they only spoke Arabic. That was it. And he was the only little African American boy in there.
Mhm.
So that's where it became challenging.
Absolutely, I can definitely see that as a challenge.
In retrospect, I probably would have, kind of put him into the school because I wanted him to have Arabic so much,
Yeah.
but not considering like the social issues as much. Like he'll just get it, he'll blend in, but it was a little more challenging, especially in Syria. I think it was easier in Kuwait and Egypt, but it was a challenge there.
Yeah, kids in general tend to like just, they're able to mesh and get along with each other. And rather
Right.
there's language barriers, or you're from this place, you're from, kids like to play to understand the language and stuff, like of just being cool or playing sports or, just being boys and stuff like that. But I could definitely see how that could be challenging. So Ibrahim, what about you, man? Did you play some sports when you was over there?
Yeah, I played basketball and soccer, but I just mainly stuck to basketball. But for me, like it wasn't. I don't think I really ever had that many challenges that I remember as far as language, like language barrier, because one, I was a younger brother, so Muhammad, I was always with Muhammad, and he would do the talking. So if we went somewhere, he would always be the one talking in Arabic, speaking in Arabic. So I didn't really have to. Um, well, I guess I didn't really have to learn as much because he didn't. He always did the talking, and also, um, so in Syria I didn't go to school. Kuwait, I don't really remember there being much problem there with language, but in Egypt, um, I had a friend. There was like me and another kid. We were the only two black kids in our grade, and my friend, he was black, but he was Sudanese, and his parents grew up in the UK, so they spoke English, and they also spoke Arabic, and that was my best friend. So he would mostly do the talking as well. So I didn't have to do it. Like I would be around him, and he would be speaking Arabic and like translate or something like that, or um, if he wasn't there, I would have to learn. But since he was there, I didn't have to learn Arabic, and I didn't really speak that much Arabic when I was overseas, because of there was always that person. Also because we went to international schools.
Cool,
So
cool.
I wish like to go back, like yes, I would like to learn Arabic because I never really got the chance to. Well, I can understand a little bit, but I never really got the chance to learn Arabic.
Yeah, it's something that's ongoing. I mean, as a second language, you know what I'm saying? It's you're never really gonna be able to complete it. So you just got to keep practicing, yeah, each and every day.
Right.
Okay, little bro, you was born in Egypt, man. How was that experience growing up in Egypt?
He doesn't remember.
He could probably tell you a story that he got across the street by himself when he was like 2. By himself.
Remember that story?
Do you remember Egypt?
No.
No?
But he went to preschool in Egypt, and he was coming back. He was speaking Egyptian dialect, Arabic, like perfectly when he would come home at night. So but he forgot most of it though.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things we want to take him back so he can visit where he was born.
So when you hear your brothers and your parents speaking about these experiences, how does that make you feel?
Tell him, really tell him.
I don't know.
You said say sad. The way we wish you were.
Sad, I guess.
Do you feel like you kind of miss it because you were younger, or you just you kind of want to experience that living in a different country? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. One last question for the boys. Do you guys, now that you're back in the States, are you able to see like maybe Arabs or Egyptians or Syrians or Kuwaitis or, Sudanese in your schools here in Maryland? Are you able to say, hey, I lived in the Middle East for a couple of years as well? Did you guys discuss that when you see each other in schools?
Yes, a lot of times when I realize that they're from one of the countries I've been to, I tell them about my experience and stuff. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to tell because a lot of people don't really say it, and here they kind of just all blend in with everyone else. But when you do realize that they're from one of the countries, um, it's kind of you can tell them. I get to tell them how my experience was, and kind of relate a little bit. I mean, I tell them, well, like if I see someone that is from Egypt or one of the countries that you mentioned, yeah, I would tell them. But when we first came to America, I didn't really tell that many people that I lived overseas because as soon as I would tell them, I mean, I guess that's just like, as soon as I would tell them, they would think I'm like Egyptian. So I never liked that. So and I guess because I wanted to fit in, I guess I didn't want them to say I'm Egyptian because I wanted to be American, I guess. So like when we first moved there, when we first moved to America, I didn't tell that many people. But as I started to get older, I realized that it's a blessing to live overseas, and I started telling more people, and then yeah, like yeah, if I see someone that is speaking Arabic or just in general in class, I'll tell people about my experience living overseas.
Cool. All right, so I want the parents to take a little flashback. While you guys were overseas, what were some of the things that you really missed about back home?
The organization. Yeah, I really missed organization and how when we needed to get something done, it's going to get done. There's a process. I just missed order. That's what I missed.
What about you, Suleiman?
So I don't think I missed order because, I mean, there's a different type of order, right? It's just you didn't understand it all the time with the way things were organized. I probably missed family and feeling a part of a culture. Like we're all one, obviously, and everyone is brothers in humanity and Islam and everything. But as far as having a common culture and kind of that feeling of always being a foreigner was difficult sometimes. I loved being over there, but at times I was like, well, I just wish there's something where I know how everything works and I know, you know what I mean? That kind of thing is what I missed. And even with the order thing, like I enjoyed that being overseas. Like just because somebody said no, that didn't mean that was the final no, right? There were ways to circumvent things, right?
They call it order out of chaos.
Order out of chaos, right? This way, you just need to figure out what the order is.
There wasn't even a line. You couldn't even queue up. You had people jumping in front of you, and you're feeling disrespected, and you're like, oh my goodness, what's going on?
I never forget one time I was eating lunch at a Thai restaurant in Kuwait. And I was sitting right by the window, and it was at 2:00 when all the Land Cruisers went to go pick up the kids from their schools, right? So I'm just sitting back and watching this. The whole street fills up, cars everywhere, beeping, reversing, and everybody's going this way, and they get their kids, and then like after a half hour, it was just back to normal.
Right. So that happened to me the first month we got there. I think it was Ramadan, the first Ramadan in Syria, and going to a restaurant and trying to line up, and I'm holding my ticket like, okay, I'm gonna just wait for everybody to call my number, right? Everybody's cutting in front of me. Little kids are cutting in front of me, right? Everybody's getting their food. I'm sitting here hungry and frustrated and everything until I figured out like, well, there is no queue. If you don't speak up, you're not gonna eat, right? So you better go ahead and take the initiative.
So now that you guys are back in the U.S., what are some things that you miss about living overseas?
I do miss the downtime, the siesta time, right after, I guess, Asr, before Maghrib. Just the family being together all the time. We would eat together. We would go play badminton together. We would always be together because whenever they had off, we would have off. Just the Muslim environment, everybody's doing the same thing. If everybody's fasting, you're fasting, everybody's fasting. People that look like me, dress like me, I didn't feel out of place.
Yeah, I miss like Juma, just the, Fridays, being able to take it easy, get up, have breakfast. We usually would go play basketball in the morning, then go to Juma and then have lunch or dinner in the afternoon, and things being real family oriented, right? We got to travel a lot as well. Just, we went on cruises down the Nile and went inside the pyramids and went to different resorts and things like that. But the biggest thing that stands out to me is the time, especially as an international teacher and the kids teaching, going to school there. We went to school together. We got on the bus together. We got up, right? So we spent a lot of time together, just doing like, wholesome type of activities. And plus the kids were younger, so we were always together. So that was a really great experience. We have a strong bond from that.
Cool, cool, cool. So now that you're back in the US, did it take a little bit of time to adjust being back in a different culture, your native culture, but after living overseas so fast, did you ever like try to push up on somebody at the line and try to cut them? Be like, oh man, I'm not back in Egypt after, I tell those people all the time out here, the way they drive and they're impatient with beeping the horn and stuff. I'm like, they have no idea. You try to beep the horn, somebody
Right.
at a red light back home, that might, hey,
Yeah, it might be
depending on who
all
it is,
bad.
it might be really, really bad. So,
Right, right.
what adjustments did you have to make coming back home?
So as a teacher, I'm teaching in inner city DC. So, we were teaching in kind of, upper level, upper echelon private schools. And, the first year I got there in Syria, and after this first lesson, the kids were like, thank you, sir, for the lesson, and bringing you gifts and things like that, and very polite. And then coming to into inner city DC, it was a whole different reality. So that was a big culture shock for me. I think the first year I was like, why did we move back? Because teaching was rough for me. And then the cold. I'm from California originally and living in the Middle East so long. So I remember the first day, like winter hit in November, and we were all four of us standing at the train. We were waiting for the train, and like the cold was coming up through the ground, and we were shivering. I was like, and the boys were crying, like, Baba, why is it so cold? What is this? They had never experienced that type of thing. So adjusting to the weather was a trip. And I remember one time when we first came back, we had to pray in the park or something, it was time for prayer. And the boys were like, why, where's the mosque? Isn't there a mosque here in the train station? Isn't there, they're used to a masala everywhere. So that kind of thing was an adjustment as well. So, yeah.
So,
I think
okay, no, go ahead. Yeah,
I think the adjustment I had was just missing the environment of getting to go and do what you need to do at the time you need to do it. So if they're going to be closed, they're going to be closed, and that. So you understand that. But everything was open at night. So it was like the nightlife. I really enjoyed that. I felt like that was something that we could really, because nobody really did anything during the day. It was so hot. So at night we would go out and do it, and it was a nightlife. It was really nice. And we didn't mind the boys being out. We didn't mind being out. Our kids during Ramadan would stay out till like 3 or 4 in the morning. But they're with all the rest of the kids that are outside. And then when it's time to eat, they'll come on upstairs, eat, and then they're in for the rest of the night, or the rest of the day, I should say. And I think another thing that I missed being, I don't want to say the center of attention, but when they found out that you were American over there, you had a different respect. You had like, wow, okay, we respect you because you're American. I didn't have to worry about being of different ethnicity or anything. You know what I mean? It was almost like you had that title and you were privileged. I miss that. I'm sorry. I'm just being honest with you, because here it's almost like you got to be somebody, you got to know somebody, or you got to, be doing something that's just, over the top in order for you to be recognized.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, Mafi Wasta Hinaka, huh? Mafi Wasta.
Exactly. You remember the Wasta. Exactly.
Okay, so back to the boys. Muhammad Ibrahim, what are some practical tips or advice you would have for a teenager who might be in a situation where this summer their parents are taking a job and going to live abroad? What would you tell them? How to be prepared, and what would you say for them to expect?
I'm gonna tell them, I would say to prepare for a change and something different. It's not gonna be like it is here, in a lot of different ways. Mostly, definitely the language is gonna be a big difference. It'll be a new experience, and to embrace it and make the most of it. Yeah. Last part, that's what I was about to say. I would tell them like to take advantage of every opportunity you have and be grateful um, that you all of the blessings you have, um, and also take advantage of trying to learn the culture and learn Arabic and learn or whatever language you have to learn, and also like don't think that the grass is greener on the other side. Just to count your blessings and what you have here, and just be grateful of what you have. But as far as preparing, yeah, I guess just learn the language, because if you learn the language, it's gonna help a lot, and it's gonna help communication and yeah, it'll just help a lot of stuff. I would also say not to look at another culture in a negative perspective. Like try to think about how other people's culture is, and not try to downplay it or disrespect anyone else's culture.
Be open-minded. Yeah, be open-minded to other traditions and customs. Okay, parents, what practical advice would you give for any parents who are contemplating taking a job and potentially moving overseas with the family?
I'm going to piggyback off what Ibrahim and Muhammad said. Learn the culture. If you can get some type of crash course in the culture, or even some language a little bit here and there, to me that will help a lot. Learn the country, learn about it, find out what the disrespecting or disrespectful words are, or gestures, because some things we may think are disrespectful is something that it's not disrespectful. It's matter of fact, it's respectful, and we're thinking and getting all upset. Like Muhammad said, we're thinking negative, that's bad, that's angry, but I would say that just learn about it, learn the culture, learn the country that you're going to. Yeah, like, because if you learn the culture, because you're going to come across some like bad like situations that you think are really bad, but if you learn the culture, I mean, it may not be right, but you realize, oh, this is what they do, like, so you wouldn't stress them as much, or you wouldn't be so angry. Right.
And I guess I would just say, I was thinking about our experiences, figure out especially with kids, the best resources for them, try to make them as comfortable as possible. Don't put them in situations like, well, kids can handle anything, but, check in with your kids, make sure that you're putting them in situations where they're comfortable, listen to their input somewhat, so that they can have the best experience possible.
Excellent. That's really, really good words of advice. So I'd like to thank for you guys to come on, and our audience will be very appreciative, because like we said before, I think that this is a trend. African Americans, this whole last year and everything, slowly they might want to expatriate back overseas, whether it's in Africa, whether it's in the Middle East or Asia, South America. So, this is a concern, and it's a relative topic. I know, Sister Khalida, you had started a podcast. Congratulations on that. Do you want to shout out the name and where people can hear, and any other organizational affiliations you might have?
Well, I did start a podcast, and it's called Modest Beauty. It hasn't officially launched yet, so we're still waiting for another 2 to 3 weeks for it to officially launch. And God willing, it should be on all the major podcast viewing. So Spotify, there's iTunes, all of the major ones. And I'm also thinking to start a clothing line. And so with my modeling background and modeling experience, I'm hoping to make an impact, I guess, on the corporate America for the modest woman. So I'm on Instagram, Facebook, all of that. And once it comes out, I'll Khalida the model is on Instagram, and of course Khalida Muhaimin on Facebook. And so I'm hoping that will be successful, and I can't wait till it comes out.
God willing, and I'll put the links to some of the activity that you have going on in the description on this podcast. Well, fantastic. You guys are inspiration, and you guys did it. You know, you've been living overseas and you raised a family. Although probably it wasn't all peaches and cream, you know, there is value in the experience and beauty in the struggle. And I'd just like to congratulate you guys, and I wish you guys peace and prosperities in your new adventures there in Maryland and in the U.S. And just thank you guys again for coming on the Think Global podcast.
Thanks
Thank
a
you.
lot for having us. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it, brother.
Okay, for now. So thank you, and we'll speak to you again soon. Yeah.
All
All
right.
right.
Take care.
All right. Assalamu alaikum.